What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Her Lounge podcast. I told you guys I was going to start having a lot more guests on so that it's not always me talking by myself. So I want to welcome today Natalia, a good friend of mine. I've known her for a hot minute. Before she started doing the beauty pageants and her workshops, and she is an entrepreneur. She is a beauty queen, all of the above. So we'll get into that in just a second. But before we get started, we always start with the positive quote, Natalia. Cool. So before we get started, today's quote is, breathe. You're going to be okay. You've been here before. You've been this scared, uncomfortable, and anxious, and you survived. Breathe. And you know you can survive this too. I know it all feels unbearable right now. Just breathe. Keep breathing. This too shall pass. I promise. And the reason why I chose that is because I think your workshop that you have is all about self-confidence and learning and, connecting with other women. So welcome to my podcast. Thank you for being on. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and all that you do.
Thank you so much, Marisol. I love being here with you, sharing this special space that you have created.
Thank you.
So I can't wait to just share with you a little bit more about my background, my mission, and what I'm here. Mm-hmm. So I was born and raised in Bogota, Colombia. Moved here when I was 18. Went to school, went to U of H, studied advertising, marketing. That was my career. And then after working in the field for a while, I was invited to participate in a beauty pageant. Miss Houston Latina was my first pageant. Then I did Miss Texas Latina. And after that journey of representing my culture, what I love about the organization is that it gives you an opportunity to use your platform in something you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. So back in 2008, before the pageant, I struggled with my mental health. I went into a very bad clinical depression in 2008. So after I overcame that depression, mental health became my platform. So during my reign as Miss Texas Latina, I had the opportunity to bring awareness to this cause during my reign and really touch a lot of teenagers' lives and Latinas that were struggling with this, but it's a big stigma and people don't talk about this stuff.
Of course, yeah. We've talked about that before, how we don't, and we don't go to counseling. We don't talk about, absolutely. Don't do this, especially if you're a male. You definitely, women, yes. You have to just suck it up and
100%, yes. And people are like, let's just be happy, smile. Yeah. And it has, people don't understand that it's a chemical imbalance that happens in your brain. So that has been a huge platform of mine. And after becoming the director of the program of Miss Texas Latina, a lot of women would apply for the program because they saw the transformation that women had during their journey. So that's where Fire You Up was inspired and born. And Fire You Up is the workshop that you're referring to.
Oh, wow. So that's where it came about.
That's right. Yes, it was inspired by the journey of the pageant contestants and how they grew. But women are more interested in becoming confident. Some women are not so much about the crown or the sash, but they want that confidence and they want to build from the inside out, really, really connect with themselves. And that's why I believe that God has given me this purpose, and I'm excited to share Fire You Up with you.
What made you, what did you see? What pattern did you see with all the women that you were at home one night and just said, you know what, I'm going to start up Fire You Up? Like,
Yes, 100%. I saw a lot of insecure women. I saw a lot of people and women that would compare themselves with what they saw on social media. I saw a lot of women insecure about their weight, about the way they look, about a lot of things about themselves, like public speaking is a big
in beauty
thing.
Pageants? Being that you're 100%. In a beauty pageant, I would think, well, you're like...
There was somebody that just committed suicide.
Oh, yeah, they just... Yeah, I just heard about that.
She was an anchor on Extra, right?
Yes.
And she was a former Miss USA, I believe.
That's right. That hit me hard yesterday, to be honest. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation today because it's a way of me, of like releasing the stress and the anxiety that created yesterday. I was literally cleaning my house. And then I was like, let me take a break and go on social media. And then I started seeing all this news, like she committed suicide yesterday morning. The most successful girl you would see, like perfect body, like great, beautiful, lawyer, successful. Like you see her page and you say she has everything that everyone wants. But mentally, she wasn't all there. And she probably struggled by herself, like alone. She never told anyone. So that's why I think it's so important that when you're struggling with this kind of things that you have somebody to go to. And if you need therapy, like you need to speak up if you're not feeling well. But apparently she didn't tell people. And then she literally
She
killed
did
herself.
the most craziest way though. She jumped off of a
building.
terrace, right? Or
Yeah.
something like
A
that.
building in New York.
Yeah, huge.
Where she
yeah.
lived.
That's like that takes a lot to be able to I mean, committing suicide in general. I mean, they say it's hard. Women don't really act, right? It's usually, or is it
Males.
the other way? Or is it the males that don't act?
I think-
No,
yeah.
it's men that don't
Yeah.
act, right?
Yeah.
Or women.
I think it's man.
Men?
Either way, it's a break.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a suicide. What did you do to overcome your mental breakdown, that you all of a sudden gained your confidence back, that you started to like feel like, you know what, it's okay that I feel this way. I need to go search for, you know, some sort of therapy or whatever.
Yes.
Rob's wife is really big on therapy. She swears by it, and she feels like everybody should do it.
Yes.
I kind of am like,
Taylor, Natalia, you're about to break it down for Marisol.
I kind of feel like in the middle. I feel like if you feel that that's what you need to do, then I think you need to do that. I'm somebody who like kind of analyzes my own issues, and then I'll just kind of like, okay, so you need to solve this. What are you going to do to solve it? And then I tell them my issue is always like, when I have an issue, I'll write it down. And then when I no longer want it to serve in my life any way or form, I just burn it. I burn a paper, but I write it down first, and I kind of basically put like how I'm going to like solve this issue and what I'm going to do to move forward. And then I let it go. Does that make sense? But that's how I solve issues. And I know not everybody is the same, you know?
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I think that we all should find those ways that helps us personally. I feel like what you were saying, like something that helps you is that, like writing it down and throwing it away. But sometimes when we're not educated in the field of mental health, which was what happened to me, I had no clue that depression existed. I always thought like, oh, depressed people, they just need to lighten up. They need to just go dancing and have fun. And what happens is a truly, ¿cómo se dice? Un chemical imbalance in your brain. And you really are completely off. So it happens that I got to a point where I couldn't get out of bed. Like it was a thing that I couldn't.
And I swear to you guys, I could never see this with as spunky as she is.
Natalia, do you think that was a product of growing up, you know, like a Latina, where you didn't think that was a thing that you could have happen to you, like become depressed or have an imbalance?
To be honest, yes, I do feel like it was a little ignorant from my side, and the way I grew up was in a very protective, happy environment, and I thought that was life and that was reality for everybody. So this situation really opened up my mind to real issues like what we're living on right now, of people that you see are completely healthy and happy on the outside, but their minds are not. So I think that experience truly changed my perspective on life. And it also gave me a new sense of joy, because now I enjoy life in a different way. And I feel like when I wake up and I feel good, then I'm more grateful, and I go all out because I know what it is to feel like to be completely depressed and down. But yeah, it took me a full year to recover. So
when I met you during like the Zumba time, were you had already overcome your depression, or you were or was that your spunkiness and your outgoing was just kind of you already?
I've always been a very high energy person, and very, I've always been very, I can say, happy because of the way my parents raised me. And I remember growing up, I was always very hyper and love people. Like all my life I've been like this. But after that, I don't remember exactly what year we met, but it was 2008 when I went down.
Okay, it was after I had okay.
Yeah, and there were two factors that I can point out to and that I can say what caused it, because it wasn't like I had a death in the family or there wasn't an external factor that caused it, but I can tell you that I was under a lot of stress. I was going to school full time. I had 3 jobs at the time. So I became very burned out into everything that I was doing, and my schedule was really, really packed with everything. I wasn't sleeping that much. And then a friend of mine also recommended, she was like, hey, Nati, I know that you're so into fitness and you love looking good. I'm taking these pills that are helping me like not get cravings. But what I didn't know was I didn't even study what she was giving me. I didn't like put or some research into this stuff or read what she was giving me. And it happened to be that it was a medicine made for obese people. I've never been obese in my life. I didn't need to take that. And I feel like the combination of the stress and these pills just threw me off completely. It was a chemical imbalance that happened. It took me a full year to recover. I had to go back to Colombia, quit my job, didn't finish school back there. So I had to go recover. To your point, things that got me out of my depression. And I thank God so much for now the tools that he's given me, and going through it now I can share these tools with other people. But I can say the first thing was my faith. I think that knowing that there is a higher power, in my case is God, that is with you, and that no matter what,
He's going to get you through it.
He's going to get you through it. Is your faith. Then the next thing was my support system. And that I'm so grateful for my parents, that even though they didn't understand what was happening, as Latino parents, they were so confused. They were like, my little girl, she's always been so happy. And I remember calling my dad and telling him, thank you for everything you've done. It's time for me to go. I remember saying goodbye to my dad on the phone, over the phone.
Wow, it was that bad.
Oh, to the 100%, to the point that I wanted to take my own life. So that's why when yesterday this news broke, it kind of hit. Oh my God, it totally hit me. Like I was literally crying. My husband was like, what is happening? I was like, I'm literally having like flashbacks because there's so many people right now that
are going through that,
it, and that are acting on those emotions. So once again, going back to my recovery, faith, my support system, my parents, they also took me to a therapy, and they also gave me medicine. Back then, my levels were so low. My levels of serotonin in my brain were so low that unfortunately I had to take antidepressants. And I say unfortunately because sometimes it's like we are not like a big fan of taking medicine for this kind of stuff, but sometimes you need that. And I changed my mind about that as well. And the stereotypes that there is around going to a psychiatrist and going to a psychologist, there is a lot of like stigma, and people are like, oh my God, you only go there when you're crazy.
Yeah.
And no, it happens to be that I had an imbalance, and I had to accept that. And it was a full year of treatment. I was able to get out of that depression, and I didn't have to take the antidepressants anymore. But my psychiatrist told me one thing. He was like, okay, I'm going to start lowering your doses. But the minute that we're not on the medicine anymore, what's going to be your medicine every single day, and you're going to need to understand this, is exercise. Exercise will be what keeps you alive and what keeps you going. And this is why a lot of people are like, oh, why do you work out? You already look good. You're already skinny. And I'm like, you have no idea. It has nothing to do with that. Of course, looking good comes as a great plus on top of it.
It's a byproduct.
I know. I hate when people say, "Why do you work out when you're already skinny?" Like it's there's more for a lot of people. It's more than just about like it's healthy for one. You know what I'm saying? It's good for you regardless if you're skinny or fat. You know what I'm saying? It's like you need it. But for some, like for you, this is how you cope and you continue, and 100%. You know what I'm saying, you move forward. For me, that's how like I escape. So for me, that's how I also get creative. I'll be working out and I'll be texting Rob, and he's like, wait, aren't you working out? And I'm like, yes, but this idea just came to me right now. And so that's how it helps me, you know? Yeah. So I think working out helps everyone. So you went full force on.
So I went all out, and I said, okay, I'm going to watch what I eat, and I'm going to work out. So it happens every day. I wake up, and the days that I don't do it, for some reason, I slept in, I snooze, I didn't go, I completely feel depressed. And I feel, so it is in my biochemistry, and I understood that, and I accepted that. It took me a long time to understand it and know that I have to do it. But when I do work out and I'm able to talk to people about this and to help them understand the importance of moving your body and keeping a very strong support system and good people around you, then that's where the mission happens. And that's how Fire You Up is more than just an empowerment group, is a mission, and is helping those women understand that their past and what they've been through doesn't define them. And if they're able to share their story and how they coped with their struggles, then we can all help each other and actually become and spread that fire.
Okay, so going back to my question, when you were there at home, what made you sit there on the couch and be like, I am going to start this workshop for all these women? What kind of like did that in your head to get this going? Like, I know you said you saw the lack of confidence within the women, you know, the need to like feel secure, but what clicked in your head to say, I'm going to start this, I'm going to get the ball going for all these women who I see need it, and make it part of, do you make it part of the process, or no, whenever they're trying to compete for the what do you call it, Miss Latina?
Yes. When they're going through Miss Texas Latina, we give them a small version of Fire You Up. It's not the full 6-week program, but it's a smaller version of it, and it's focused on what they're about to go through in the competition. But it all has the same base of taking care of your mind. We do a fitness challenge with the participants, and is keeping each other accountable. So important to surround yourself with the right people, because that's the one thing that I see is a lot of these women don't believe in themselves, or are insecure, or have all these struggles because of the people that they're surrounded by. So that's why I wanted to create a space for those women to have those new friendships, and to have people that are like-minded, that want to better themselves, and that want to focus on feeling good and doing good. And nowadays, with everything that's happening, I also feel like it's important to have a space where you can go to, where you can vent in a safe environment and share your story.
Yeah. Walk us through what it's like through these 6 weeks. What should, I guess, people who want to sign up, and guys, at the end of the episode, I will give y'all a code. Natalia's been nice enough to offer a code to all our listeners, so that if you guys are interested in attending something like this, which I think is great, because that's what my brand is about, is just really empowering and surrounding yourself around like-minded women, so that, you know, you have a good support system. Support system is huge. I mean, we always say your vibe, what is it? Your tribe. Your vibe is your tribe, you know? Yes. So it's like, I 100% believe that to the core. Like,
hey, before you describe the steps, I wanted to ask about the community. Let's just talk about Latinos in general. Do you think that family has a bigger effect, or friends, or like what part of their community do you find that has a more detrimental effect on how you think about things, and how you think about not going to therapy or not seeing a psychiatrist?
Absolutely. I have to say that family is the number one factor. Like the way we grow up, and the education that we receive at home, even when we're babies. There are so many things that our parents do or don't do that affect the way that we relate to ourselves and our identity. I feel like a father relationship is also so key and so important for so many women to find that confidence since they're little. And when that's lacking, you grow up in an environment that is not as safe, and you start putting other people first before you start feeling guilty about certain things and taking care of yourself first, that you start people pleasing and start like pouring yourself out before taking care of yourself first. And I think that starts at home. So I would say definitely family would be the first person that the first people that influence the way you are. But also when you go to school, the first like school that you go to, the kids you surround yourself with, and how you really start picking and choosing who you hang out with. But then once again, that all goes back to how secure you are with yourself. Because if I know I'm worthy and I know I respect myself, I'm going to choose different people for me. I'm going to pick people that actually are going to pull me higher instead of pull me down.
For sure.
In your relationships, that's one of the workshops that we have in Fire You Up, is how to select your partner. I feel like the person that you spend your life with has a huge impact on your mental health.
100%.
And how you raise kids with that person as well. So to answer your question, I feel like every single person that you surround yourself with, and nowadays with social media and the digital world, that has a huge effect as well on who we follow, what we read, what we listen to. That changes who we are. And
100%. Yeah, that was all in a nutshell for
well
real.
Said.
Yeah.
I say that because I'm going to send this podcast to friends that usually don't listen to podcasts, because especially my Latina friends that I grew up with they've had kids, they've had their issues, and they're just kind of like in this depressive kind of state, and they don't want to help themselves get out of it because the stigma of their mom or their tia or their abuelita finding out they went to therapy, they just can't bear it. And I'm like, you're fucking up yourself, basically. Mm-hmm. So
I think a relationship with your father is really big. Huge. I'm 100% agree with that. I think that because my dad was so good with us, and I'm not saying this is wrong or this is bad if you are someone like this, but I think that's the reasons why you are. But like when a father is absent, when you don't have a really good relationship with your dad, when your dad doesn't like give you compliments or, isn't there to support you. My dad was really good about, he didn't like for us to be, in Spanish they say fodonga, like for you to be all like tirada. Mm-hmm. Like he wanted you, he's like, eres mujer, arréglate, like don't be, don't be wearing your hair like in a bun, which is what I do now. Dad, sorry.
You're secure in yourself, though.
Yeah, so it's like my dad was really big about that, and so I 100% agree with that. I feel like our family, or how Marissa says, it's like childhood trauma is what affects you, like in your future of what you are to your children, how you behave with your partner, the way you choose your partners as well. You know what I'm saying? All of those things I think come from childhood.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should not define you. If you were maybe somebody that grew up without a father figure, or if you just had a really bad childhood, that should not define you. There is an opportunity for you to change the path of your life and turn it around. It doesn't mean that because you didn't have a good dad, then you don't have a chance in life.
Exactly.
I feel like the women that decide to stop and say, you know what, I'm gonna change the direction of where this is going, can make a huge impact in the future generations, because they will choose the right partner, and then that right partner will be a great father to that daughter, and that daughter will select a good man. So I feel like the impact goes way bigger than just those women that joined the program. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you like how many of these women want to join, but they're guilty, and they feel like if they join, they're not going to be able to give their time to their kids or their husband. And they feel like, no, what do you mean? They're not used to putting themselves first. And I feel like it's important for them to just break that mentality and understand that when you're actually giving to yourself first, you're going to be a better mother. You're going to be a better wife. Mm-hmm. And you're going to end up being what you want to be for them, which is the happy mom, the one that's healthy, the one that encourages the family to do positive things.
Exactly.
So
is the retreat, like, is it away, or is it here, or how does that work? Where is it located?
So it's a full journey. So it's 6 weeks of training, and every workshop has a different location depending on what we're doing. We kick off this journey with the networking aspect of it, which is building that community with the women that are going to join, because you're going to be together for a while and going to be on the same boat working together. So we break the ice, and then we start working on this specific areas every weekend, in which we give them an opportunity to step out of their comfort zone and do different exercises and things that are going to really help them break through and start facing those fears, like public speaking, and really connecting with your past, sharing your story, but in a positive way where you can actually free yourself and heal, and then be able to actually make it a platform and share to other women what you've been through. And then we go into career development workshops, how to write a resume, how to dress appropriately for a job interview. We teach them how to pose in front of the camera. There's a lot of women that want that, and that want to feel good and know how to do their hair, their makeup. So it starts with all of the
it's a head-to-toe transformation type thing. Wow.
100%.
Can I a la carte participate in some of these things?
A lot of men have asked
this workshop
if I'm ever making Fire You Up for men. I was like, maybe in the future, but not right now. But,
Fire you up, bro.
Yeah, right. That's what it's going to. That's the male version. Yeah, for sure.
Or some people have asked me about like kids, like Fire You Up kids, because there are a lot of kids.
No, forget the men. The kids needs to be the one, because it starts with kids.
With kids, 100%.
Yes, it starts with the little ones. Like,
the little ones.
Well, don't say forget, fire you up, bro. Like, let's keep it there.
Because I'm reading this book right now, and one of the things that it says is that your peers pretty much mold you. So like who you kind of hang out with, you kind of mold each other, which then, and this is talking about like youth, you know what I'm saying? In school, when you're in school, and talk about how bullies and so forth happen. So you basically like your peer pressure is big, and you choose these friends, which doesn't always have the best outcome, but you want to fit in. So you start to do things. And I think in my personal opinion, we're in a time where children are being attacked in all sorts of ways.
Well, what's the cliche saying? You're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with most?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Correct.
I think that's
pretty accurate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. 100%. So teaching the kids how to really select the people they hang out with, and who they listen to, and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Nowadays is kind of tough. Like I feel like growing up without social media and now seeing the social media impact on kids.
Yeah, we didn't have phones when we were kids.
No, and we were just fine
And
playing outside.
Yeah, we're the last normal generation.
exactly, because so like for example, my stepdaughter has never lived in a life with no internet.
That's crazy.
My girls don't know a life without the internet.
Wow.
My daughter thinks that you do TikToks on your camera roll. So she'll tell her sister, because she'll see her sister making TikToks, and says, hey, come on, let's make a TikTok. And she's 3, y'all.
Oh my God.
She's 3.
Oh my Lord.
So, but she uses her camera roll because she thinks that's how you make
That's how
a
you
TikTok. She has
so
no idea
cute.
that it's an actual app. But she hears her sister saying TikTok, and look, because her sister will say, look, Soul, look at this TikTok. And so she hears that.
Yeah.
But, I think for sure it's like, but in contrary to this, the fire you up though, if you are a mother and you have children and you go through something like this,
100%.
then you are bringing this good influence onto your children, onto your spouse.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're bringing this maybe this changed person that can view things, or even if it's an issue within your household, it's like, okay, how can I attack it? Because I know that I'm a much happier person now. I went through XYZ workshops, you know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling like now I can handle this totally different, from a different perspective, versus maybe immediately yelling at your kids whenever, something happens, or immediately, I never forget, and I hate to say this, but this girl that I used to follow, right? And she was another Zumba instructor. So this is why I said I hate to say this, but she, I guess, was going through a divorce, and I never forget her. I had to unfollow her because I'll never forget that she said, my son did blah, 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 blah. And I told him, just like your father. You're just like your father. And I'm like,
oh no.
Eesh.
gosh.
It's going to sting for a lot of years to come.
Exactly. I'm like, I cannot follow someone. I can't even have a conversation with someone like that, because it's like, what trauma did you just cause your child? It's not your child's fault what you and your husband are going through, you know what I'm saying? Whatever issues y'all are having. So don't put that on him, you know?
Him. Yes.
So I think self-evaluating, finding what you need to do to fix yourself is big, in order for you to like make change
Definitely.
to your little humans that you create.
Yeah.
I think that's the first step, is self-awareness, self-discovery of understanding what are the areas that we need to work on. And there is nothing wrong with that. Like sometimes our ego and our pride kind of like hurts, and no, I'm not like that. It's okay to face what you are and work on the things that you need to work on, and then also be happy and celebrate your qualities and the great things that you're good at. And I feel like that's one of the things and one of the aspects of the program that gives you a lot of sense of awareness in who you are. We help them discover new talents, new things that they didn't know about themselves.
For sure.
And going back to what you were saying about the mother and the daughter or son relationship, we've had a lot of mom and daughter sets that join the program at the same time.
I bet that's cool to watch.
That is amazing, because it's there's a lot of breakthroughs in their own family, but then the daughter starts looking up to the mom when she sees her mom facing her fears on that stage, and then it helps her respect her mom more, and then the mom learns from the younger girl. So that's what I love about the program, is that we don't have like a set age. We've had as young as 12 years old to 60 years old. We had a grandma that joined one season, and it was the best.
How
like
cool.
the cool grandma, typical. Like she's like, okay, I've raised all my kids and my grandkids, and I'm ready to invest in myself. So there is no age to change the path of what you're doing. And if you really want to do it and you're going to put your time and effort into it, then you're going to see amazing results.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So go ahead and explain to us how it works. I guess so you sign up, and then when do you go to these workshops? I know you said there's different ones every time, but are they during the week after work, or are they when do they happen?
So they happen in the weekend, because usually Monday through Friday, most of the women are working, or they're being mom, or they're going to school if they're younger. School, work, all that, Monday through Friday doesn't work, but we meet on Saturdays. We also protect our Sundays. We started this new thing where we're only meeting on Saturday, because I feel Sunday is also a day to invest in resting and resetting your week and really pouring your whole mind into resting. And so the workshops happen in the weekends. So when you sign up, then we give you, the schedule, we give you everything that you need to prepare and save those dates. And it's 6 weekends in a row on Saturday, and we go all day. That way you have a lot of workshops and focus on one thing at a time.
And it starts at what time?
It's going to start in the morning. So sometimes 9, sometimes 10 a.m.
Depends on what
it depends on which workshop it is. Yes.
I had some questions for you. Hold on, about this whole thing.
Next season.
How many times have you done this?
That was one of my questions.
That was one
Thanks,
of the
Rob.
questions. Awesome. Yeah. So
What
we're
season?
about to kick off.
What year are you on? Basically?
We're about to kick off season 4. So we're about to, literally in March, we're kicking off the 4th season of Fire You Up. And I wish I could do it more times a year and do it more often, but with also Miss Texas Latina and the pageant, then, I have a lot of things on my plate, and I always want to make sure that I'm not burning out, and that I can, have all my energy, and that we can give the participants everything they need. But yes, so this will be our 4th season starting in March, and you can go to our website, fireyouup.com, and then where you heard about us, you can write your name, and then we'll give you guys the $100 off.
And then quick question. So how often do they happen? So you're having one in March. When does the next one happen? Or is it just once a year?
For now, it's once a year, but I've been thinking. I might be doing another one in the fall, but it's not for sure. But we have one for sure coming up in March, and if God allows us to have the fire going, then we will do another one.
So what does it take to create this workshop for them? So is it do you have to hire professional, I don't know, like a therapist, or is it entrepreneur women who have kind of been through all this, and now they're part of your guest speaking? How do you go about choosing all this that's going to influence the women?
Correct. Yeah, it's all of the above. We're super selective of who we bring to the program, because they have a huge responsibility. These women are trusting us to open up and to really share more about themselves and their personal life. So I try to be very selective of who we bring, but definitely experts in each field. That's who actually impact them and teach the classes, and also women that have very powerful stories. We want them to look up to them, but also relate to what they've been through. Yeah. We would love to have you. You would be a great guest for Fire You Up and everything that you've created. But yes, we want to present real examples and real life women that have gone through a lot and have overcame those things.
Wow. How do your parents feel that you've started this? How do they feel about you doing all this now?
Oh no, now I'm gonna cry. That's probably one of the main motivations. Is definitely my parents. My dad is the creative director of Fire You Up, by the way.
Wow, that's awesome.
Okay.
My dad is
so your parents are here. They're not in Colombia.
No. They're in Colombia. They live in Colombia, but we have daily meetings with my dad about Fire You Up, and he's a huge supporter of what we're doing. But since he, as a parent, went through the struggles of helping me and my brother also cope with our mental health issues, then then he understands the mission.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like so emotional.
Or our tissues. We had a whole
Marisol
box
used them
here.
all already.
No,
That's why.
I didn't. I can't see anybody crying when I start to cry. I think last time we had, what it was when we had Roxy in here.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they started crying.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No.
I just cleaned. I'm good. So he's a huge motivation and a huge fire for me to continue going. Because let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to have the energy to really go out there and then help these women and do all this. But I know that with God's wisdom, He'll continue to give me that that motivation and passion. But yeah, my parents are a huge part of it, and like I said, in the family, we've lived firsthand the experience, and now is our mission to share with as many people as we can.
Yeah, because I mean, now it has to take you finding the venues where you will have the workshops. It takes finding the people who you'll have on the panel, finding the professionals who will speak. It's like throwing a whole event like that is very, it's like a lot of work, and it's just, it takes a lot of time to do. So I can only imagine. So your team is your dad, it's you, and then who else is part of your, I guess, your creative or the organization of your team?
We have a big team of women behind it, like our
I think I met your
production.
assistant.
She's amazing. Yes.
She was, it was funny. I went to Ilse's birthday party
yes.
and I went by myself, and I didn't want to go by myself. And it was crazy because my husband had another event, and we were both going to go. And then he was like, damn, so how are we going to do it? I was like, well, we're going to have to split our time because I can't go to this. They did a thing on like one of his, like a movie premiere thing. And so it happened to be on the same day as Ilse's birthday party. So it was, I was sitting there by myself. Well, she went by herself too. And so we I was sitting there. I looked like I swear to you, I felt like a high school, like I was just sitting there drinking
the new girl.
my drink. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't really know anybody. And Ilse's boyfriend is so sweet. He was there sitting there trying to have a conversation with me. I was like, listen, you don't have to stay here. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you got to go take pictures. But then she sat down and I'm like, oh, are you here by yourself? She's like, I'm like, okay. I just like scoot over. And
my new friend.
I start talking to her. I'm like, let's start chit-chatting here. And
so the person you sat with was Natalia's assistant?
She sat down because I think she saw that I was by myself too.
Oh, how
and
funny.
she came by herself. So it was just kind of like, I think she was like scanning the room like, oh, she looks like she's by herself. Let me go sit over there.
Dude,
with
what
her.
a small
I know,
world.
right? And we started talking. I'm like, oh, so what do you do? And, so she started something. She's like, I work with Natalia. I'm not sure. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know her. I'm going to tell you guys a crazy story. And I hope I don't embarrass you, but let me tell you how I first met her when we were in Zumba. She's super spunky. She's on stage. And I think you had just gotten your
boob
job. And so I was like, I'm like, oh my God. I said, you look so good. She goes, I know, girl. She's like, they look so good, don't they? And I'm like, they do. And she goes, you want to touch them? And I was like,
oh, Dad.
No. And I was like,
that's something I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I just like, I was always like, God, every time I see her, I'm like, that's why when you're like, you telling me right now that you went through any of that, it's crazy because I would have never that's why I'm saying, like, you never know someone's journey, right? Because I never in a million years would have thought that about her, because super spunky all the time at all the Zumba events, like just always laughing and just, just very like alive. You know what I'm saying? So to hear this is very amazing. But that's something very vulnerable to share, something very personal to share with people. But I think that's why so many of the women probably relate to you and are able to feel like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that, because do you share your story every time at these?
100%. Yeah. 100%. Every time I have an opportunity to do this, I feel so grateful, really, for to be able to have a platform and be able to say it. It took me a while to be okay with sharing without feeling embarrassed, because there is a lot of things in the past that you don't want to like open up about. But I feel like there is freedom in sharing. There is healing in sharing. And as long as you're doing it with the right intentions and to help other people, I always pray that God gives me the opportunity to continue sharing as much as I can and continue impacting people when they need it. So I pray over the season and the participants that are coming on board. And I'm like, God, bring the ones that they need to be in here. So before I forget, real quick, my assistant who you met, she's a great partner. I wouldn't say assistant. She's part of the whole program.
Yeah.
She was a participant of season 1.
She told me that.
So
Yeah.
that to me is so special because she went through the program, but she's so passionate about also helping other women that she was like, I want to be a part of this. Let's work, let's do this. And I feel like she's been a huge part of also the success of Fire You Up, because as a participant, she can relate to them as I was you guys just a few seasons ago.
For sure.
So, and that's
Yeah.
how we've had several people and the ambassadors of the program who are part of the team have been participants of the program.
Wow.
And we also now have sponsors. So people that have been a participant of the season want to pay it forward and pay the seat for another woman to go through the program. So it's, I just pray that God continues to open the doors and bring the people, the right people that need to be in there, and more sponsors
Wow.
for these
Yeah.
women. Because there's a lot of women that want to do it but can't afford it.
Sure.
But I love the fact that, there are other women that help do
Yeah.
it.
When you do this, right? Like afterwards, I'm just saying this, right? How good do you feel? Like after if it's done, like I'm like, as you see everybody go through the 6 weeks, like, because that's so fulfilling to me. Anytime someone like,
It's supposed to be a virtuous thing, but you're like, man, I feel good for doing this
well,
stuff.
because it has to do something to your soul. Like,
Yes,
and I don't
yes.
mean like, oh, I did this. I don't mean
No.
like that. I mean like,
Yeah.
like inside, it's got to make you feel like bubbly and like good. Like, oh my God, like they
Yes.
feel me. They feel
Yes.
like,
Yes, the energy.
like the energy, and they feel like what I went through, and they're overcoming this, and it makes me feel so good that I was able to help someone. I don't know, that's how I feel. Like anytime that I'm able to help someone, it makes me feel so good. Like, for example, this is really dumb, but I was watching Dana Lynn Bailey give away $5,000 to someone, and so then she started, I'm sorry, it was $10,000, right, for
After
that
the fitness challenge?
of the
That's
fitness
amazing.
challenge, for a
Yeah.
fitness challenge, right? And so she was like, it feels so good to be able to do this for someone. And it has to feel damn good. If you can just give someone if you're in a place where you can just give someone $10,000 because you just did a challenge to make a change in your life, to be a healthier person, of your version of yourself, it's like, damn, that feels good. That's what I'm saying. Like, what does this do for you? Does it help also with your, like the way you know how your therapist said, you're going to have to exercise, you know what I'm saying? And this is going to be your medicine moving forward, because you're no longer, is this also medicine for you?
100%. I can tell you that we have a special event at the end of the season where we come together and celebrate what we went through, and is the kickoff of their new chapter, which is practicing everything they've learned. So it's a celebration of enlightenment in which we all come together. And I can tell you that those have been the 3 seasons that we've done have been the happiest days of my life. Would be that day when we finish the program together as a team, and seeing them so confident, and seeing like different women that when they started the first day, it gives me all this
Transform,
fulfillment.
right? Yeah.
100%. And I can say that would be the closest that you can get to success. I feel like that's success right there, is understanding that you have a purpose in life, and that you're living that purpose and that mission. I feel like that's true happiness, and that's where I feel successful. It's not about money, it's not about anything else, but about the feeling that is in that room, and seeing their husbands look up to their wives and be like, oh wow, is that my wife? And then the little kids just looking up to them, and that's why I want to continue doing as long as I can, and I want to eventually, make it a even bigger thing to be able to
Even like a
impact
convention,
more
like
people.
a women's convention type thing would be
100%. Yeah, so
dope.
we have a lot of things in the plans and the vision for it. And once again, my dad being the super creative mind behind it, he also has a lot of faith that this is going to become something really big.
Yeah,
And
I feel so too. How did you come up with the name?
Fire You Up, that was tough. Finding a name nowadays is like so difficult. Everything is taken.
Yeah.
But I kept going back to fire color. The color red has always been my favorite color, and I feel like there is a fire inside of all of us. I feel like when we're fired up about something, we go all out. We're excited. We're full of energy. Literally, we feel heat in our body. So I was like, okay, but when you're depressed and when you're down, there is coldness and there is a lot of dark in our life. So that's where it came from, is lighting up the fire in you. And yes, it can go out sometimes, but you can have somebody else light your fire.
Yeah.
So let's fire you up.
Did it just come to you?
No, it took me a while to kind of like do research and think about that, and then writing it down several times and seeing what it would look like. And as soon as I said it, I remember saying it to my husband. I was like, hey, fire you up. And he was like,
That's
my
it.
God, yes, I love it. I was like, yes.
Well, speaking of cold, though, this is a good time to tell my story of how I met Natalia originally. So in 2018, when Brianda was Miss Houston Latina,
That's correct.
she was a sponsored athlete of mine at my cryotherapy facility. So she brought Natalia in one time. Similar story to Marisol, not to put you on the spot, but she was like, hey, I just got these done. Are they going to freeze if I go in that machine? I was like, no, you're fine. You're fine. She's like, okay, thanks.
That's what I'm telling you. It's so crazy to
so
hear.
Funny.
Like these, like I love that you
Small
came and shared
world.
that, because you know what I'm saying. Like a spunky, like you said, in your name, the name of your workshop is perfect, because you have such a fire.
Thank
and
you.
at one point in your life, your fire
Went
did go
out.
down.
Yeah.
It dimmed, and now it's back up, and now you're spreading
you.
this fire.
Yeah, it's contagious.
It's contagious to
Yeah.
everyone. So
Thank
that's
you.
amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love that about her. Every
Yeah.
time,
Thank
I'm
you.
not gonna lie to you guys. Anytime I knew she was gonna be on stage with the other Zumba dancers, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be a good one, guys. Like I'd look to see who the lineup was that was going to open up, like because we used to do these breast cancer
rocket?
awareness for the Rockets thing.
Oh, cool.
And so I'd look to see who was going to participate, and if I knew she was going to be on there, I'd be like, all my students, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Let's all go. We can go to this.
You know what's
You're so
unfortunate?
sweet. Thank you.
People that don't have that kind of energy and see you around, or whether it's Sol, myself, whoever, they're like, man, F that person who's got all this energy, because they don't have that energy, right? Like they're down on the inside, and they're like, man, you don't know what you're missing out on. You gotta
They're like, you should totally come to Fire You Up.
Yeah.
I could fix that for
Exactly.
you right now.
6
Let's do
weeks.
it. Fire
Let's
you
do
up.
it.
Let's do it. Yes, and I feel like it's a daily effort that I have to make. I don't always have the energy, and people are like, "But you're always energetic." I'm like, okay, that's not all the time, but I feel like, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? Feeding the fire and putting a little bit more and more wood around you.
For sure.
It has a lot to do with that, like who I surround myself with. Like talking about this already fires me
Yeah.
up. So I know what those things are that I have to do. Like, writing something down and burning
Sure.
it. It's something that brings you healing. I know the things that bring me healing, like music. Music is so
Yeah.
powerful. If I'm
I
feeling
agree.
down, music, let's go. It's a ton of fun. Or talking to a great friend. Or there are many things and tools that you have in your toolbox. And that's what we want with Fire You Up, is giving all those tools to the women, because after the program doesn't mean that their life is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It means that when the challenge happens, they have more tools to work on whatever it is that life throws at them. So
I'm gonna suggest something to you.
Yes,
or
ma'am.
maybe
Let's
you already do
Tell
it.
me.
I was just gonna
Do
say
you
something
have
too.
a follow-up Fire You Up? Like the
For
women
the
that are
same season?
well,
Oh,
yeah, with the
that's
women that
great.
already
Yes.
did it,
You do?
a follow-up would
I
be
don't yet,
great.
but that's
like,
amazing.
hey,
What I was going
where
to
are you
suggest, this is why
at?
me and Marisol on the same wavelength always.
I
is
love
That's
that.
why like a video podcast or a podcast would be really good to have the follow-ups, or even that they're going through it. Like, do y'all have anything where you
Oh, I
kind of
love
like
that.
document the journeys, and then that way the people
We
that,
documented through the season, but I feel like what you're suggesting is so key
like
and
a
important.
like a 90 Day Fiance recap show.
Yeah, you should.
That's so fun. I love that idea, because we have had a lot of women that
And
after
Ilse would be
the
perfect to do
program-
that, because she's so good with that stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love Ilse too. She's been a huge part of it too. But I feel like the follow up thing is so key, because there have been a lot of participants who actually quit their job and start doing what it is that they're really passionate about after the program. We've had one lady who was an engineer, and she was like, no, I really need to like follow my passion. And now she's a very successful DJ. So it's following up with all these women, you know what I mean? And like you said, like documenting their
Yeah.
Yeah,
process.
for sure. That'd be really cool, because that'd be cool to see, even if you did like a YouTube video with it. And I know some women probably don't want to participate, wouldn't want to, just because
course,
you know
yeah.
not everyone wants to
Yeah.
share.
Correct.
But those that would like to share document their journey through your workshop,
That's
and
correct.
then like a 6-month follow-up later, like how much of it are you still incorporating in your life, or how much of it
Yes, I
aren't
love
you
that.
They'd be
incorporating?
like force multipliers. Like everybody that could share their journey or story the way you did just gives that fire an opportunity to spread even faster.
I love that. Thank you guys so much for the ideas.
What we should do is have her back on with one of her participants.
Ooh, I love it.
Who's willing to share.
Someone that's already done it. That's gone through it.
Because I think that's beneficial to tell really like, 100%. Because it's one thing. I know that a lot of times people will be like, oh, that's her friend, so she's going to promote her friend. But I think that if you have like, you know what I'm saying, a personal story, which is 100%. Why you have this, why you started this. And number two, someone who went through the program, or if you're a listener and you went through the program already, you know, like tell us about it. We'd love to have you on to tell us about how this like benefited you because I mean, I don't understand how I wouldn't.
You do realize that Marisol just put more on your plate. You're going to start a podcast now. You're going to start a radio show every weekend.
Just start now. I'll help you. Rob Rob here can help.
I'll help start the radio show.
Let's tell us.
Fire You Up Radio.
Yeah, Fire You Up Radio. There you go. We just came up with the name.
Because I feel like that, again, you need a big a support system with the editing and all that fun stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of work behind the scenes for you guys. But there are so many amazing women that have gone through the program that I know for a fact would love to come out and share.
Yeah.
So yes, ladies,
because even your assistant told me, she was like, I went through her through Fire You Up, and she's like, I just like, well, basically how I understood our conversation was the reason she is helping you is because she felt like this is what I need to do. Like I need to help other women the way she helped me. So
she found
contagious. She found her exactly.
Her calling.
Yeah.
Her calling. And she's so good at it, by the way. I want to give a huge shout out to Anna Karen. She's a huge person, like how do I say this? Like very given, she's very
super sweet.
Super sweet. I mean, you saw her.
So,
she sat next to you like,
she's real quiet. I'm like, hi. She didn't talk to me though. So I was the one that had to talk to her. I'm like, so are you here? Like, you know, like I need someone to talk to and not just hold my drink by myself, you know.
And that's what I love about the women that join is like every single one has such different personalities, and when we come together it's like everybody complements each other, and there's this energy that I cannot explain in words. You just have to come out. I will invite you to a workshop or maybe the celebration at the end, and you will feel the energy. I had actually a mom that called me last week, and she was like, I went to your first celebration of enlightenment, and the energy as a guest was something that I haven't stopped thinking about, and I'm ready to join.
Oh,
so I need to.
Cool.
How many women do you think you've been able to like lead through the whole program?
I would say anywhere from 60 to 80 so far. And we're hoping that, you know, every season grows and more women continue to join.
60
to 80. Because the seasons are divided in like groups of 25, 30 or whatever. Yeah, whatever it is.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
That's a lot of women.
Yeah, that is a lot.
And I feel like the ripple effects of those women touching other friends' lives, because a lot of them have been like huge part of other people's journey after Fire You Up. They have fired their friends up. So I feel like it's once again a spreading fire.
And it's exactly the perfect name. How do you manage it all? Because you do the pageant, you have a regular job also, and then you have this workshop that you handle.
Yes.
Is your job lenient for you to get away, or are you like, okay, I'm done with work and now I got to go work on my other stuff?
No, so my job is actually perfect for it because it has to do with everything that I do. They have been a sponsor of Fire You Up and Miss Tejas Latina for the longest time. So they understand 100% my mission and what I'm doing.
Okay.
I work at an awesome gym in the River Oaks area that you went to. And I love the fact that the owner believes so much in giving back. So working there is like second nature. I work out in the morning there, and then I change there, I shower, and I start working on my stuff. So there's a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, they believe in the mission. And we do a lot of the workshops, the fitness workouts and walking classes and all that at the gym where I work at. So everything connects. My job has a lot to do with what I do with my career, marketing and advertising. So it's just it all kind of goes together.
Wow.
And then how do you add your husband in all
He's
that?
around. He's there from
But
time
when
to
does
time.
he
He's
get
the
to?
best.
When does he? Because I'm like, that's a lot to handle,
He's
and you
the
have no
best.
children, so
I
and
have
that's
no
still a
kids.
lot to do.
Yes, that's why maybe I don't have kids yet. It's just a lot. But my husband is truly a gift from God. He understands, once again, my mission. And I think it's important to surround yourself with people that understand what you're passionate about and that don't want to stop you, but actually help you and fill your fire. So he is 100% on board. He helps a ton in the back behind the scenes. Very much production and operations, carrying stuff when events happen. Like he does video as well. He does video production.
Okay.
So he's a very creative mind and is a great complement to what we do.
Sure.
So a lot of people know him. Like when he goes out to the celebrations, he's working, but he's also like socializing. People know who he is, and he's very patient. He's someone who I love and admire very much. We've been together for 12 years. So he's seen it all. He's seen the good, the bad, and still supports everything that I do. So I'm very
12
blessed.
years. That's a long time.
It's a cowboy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, cowboy from Texas.
Yeah.
Doesn't speak Spanish, but
Nice.
Wow.
He's
Well, I know you
awesome.
got to go to work. So,
yes.
real quick, what are some words of encouragement or advice to anybody who perhaps has gone through the same things that you have gone through? What would you tell them if they came to you and said, Natalia, I'm going through a very hard time. I'm feeling, just down on my luck. I just can't seem to get out of this rut. What would you tell them?
The first thing that I would say is have self-compassion. Accept that what it is that you're going through is happening to you. You can't sometimes like deny it or try to pretend that it's not there. Acceptance comes with a lot of freedom of just saying, okay, this is what I'm going through. Put your hands in your heart and say, you're going through this. Accept it. However, find ways of actually step out of it and don't continue dwelling on it, because I think the mistake that people make is not speaking about it or expressing what's happening, and they keep sinking and sinking. So find a good system. Find a person that you can speak to about this. Our therapist is amazing. Our Fire You Up therapist, Rob Arteaga, he's a great person to speak to. But I feel like saying it, getting it out of your system is important. So acceptance, speaking out about it, and then doing something about it. I feel like when we are in action is when we see the change. We can't expect to see something different if we continue doing the same thing over and over again.
Sure.
If you don't have motivation, don't wait for it. Motivation doesn't just show up to your door and be like, hey, I'm motivation. I'm here to help you today. I wish it was like that.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Damn. Actually, the motivation comes when you're already making the first step, regardless of how you feel. So get out of bed, shower, put a good song on, put some perfume on, pray, go outside, connect with nature. There's so many tools and things that as human beings we can use, and resources that are completely free that sometimes we don't even know about. So educate yourself, go out there, shake your booty, dance, and just connect with us. If there is any woman that maybe is hearing this program and feels identified with what we've been talking about, then we invite them to reach out to us, send your application, and we would love to meet you.
It was hard to top the last podcast with Tara, but it's like if they
good.
keep building upon each other like this, I'm just it's unfortunate that it's been 4 or 5 years since we've chatted, because I had no idea that that's the kind of stuff you're working
didn't
on,
know?
and it's
Oh,
really
thank
really
you.
cool. So my last question is, in a nice neat bow, where could anybody that's listening to the podcast go find out all the information about this program?
Perfect. Yeah. So fireyouup.com. Fireyouup.com.
But you spell it different though. So tell them.
Fire, yeah. So the FIRE and then YOUP.
Yeah. No double U.
Okay.
No, like not a
Only one
U.
U.
Only
Okay,
one
okay.
U.
I'll have the link in the description,
Perfect.
guys. If you just want to
Yes.
scroll up, you'll see it right here,
That's
right below.
perfect. Yeah. And then where the section where it says how you heard about us, if you heard about us through the podcast, then we'll give you the $100 off.
So
Nice.
put her
HERR.
HERR,
Perfect.
so that you know that, so she knows that it came from Her Lounge podcast.
Nice.
That's right.
And then tell them where they can find you, Natalia.
Where they can find me on Instagram. I am Natalia Castillo. That is my Instagram handle. And on my bio you'll see everything that we discussed and what I'm working on. So Instagram is the best way.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much for being on and taking a time out of your busy day to come here and give some good knowledge to the women. And hopefully we can get some of the ladies to sign up. I think this is a really good way to start off the year. That's why I thought, like, when I reached out to her, I was like, hey, did you by any chance have one of your workshops coming up? She's like, yeah, in March. And I'm like, okay, I need you to come on. I was like, because I think, you know, as the year begins, you know, people are trying to do weight loss challenges. We have one going on within our group right now with the HERR podcast.
Yes.
You know, people are trying to make change. They're wanting to do different things. And I just thought, if I can provide some knowledgeable people on the podcast so that you can go find what it is that you're searching for, then, you know, I think that we're starting off on the right foot for 2022 with everything that's been going on, you know?
Thank you so much. I think you're being a huge instrument, you know, and I thank you so much for opening your platform, and you guys are awesome. The energy in this room is amazing.
Yeah,
so
I gotta go do some pull-ups, man. I gotta go lift some weights or something. Like, shit. We need to do a follow-up too after the program's done.
Yes, of course.
For sure. Let's do it. I'd like to hear about it.
And then if we want to bring a participant, then let me know, and we'll definitely do it.
I think that's perfect. That's a perfect
time to
follow
up. With the participants.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being on, Natalia. Thank you guys. See you guys on Friday.